Welcome back, listeners. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today, we're going deep into the world of lost cosmonauts.
Ooh.
Yeah, one of those enduring space conspiracy theories that just,
Captivating.
really grabs you. It's got it all, secret Soviet missions,
Right.
mysterious radio signals, Cold War intrigue, the whole...
The whole package.
Yeah, the whole package.
It really speaks to, I think, our fascination with the unknown.
Absolutely.
And especially when you combine it with space exploration.
Oh, yeah, the final frontier. Okay, so for this deep dive, we've got a ton of sources claiming that the Soviet Union
Oh, wow. Yeah.
might have sent cosmonauts into space
Yeah.
even before Yuri Gagarin.
Before Gagarin.
Yeah, and these total disasters, cover-ups, the whole 9 yards.
Wow. It's interesting because when you think about the Soviet space program during the Cold War, everything was shrouded in so much secrecy.
Oh, totally.
Unlike the United States, which was a little more open about their successes and failures, the Soviets, they kept everything under wraps, which is exactly the kind of environment that lets speculation and conspiracy theories just run wild.
You can totally see how that would happen. Okay, so picture this. It's the 1950s and 60s. The Cold War is at its peak.
Right.
You've got these two superpowers just going head-to-head in this insane race to conquer space.
It's a high-stakes game, for sure.
The highest. We're talking technological dominance.
Global prestige.
Yeah. Whoever wins this space race basically controls the narrative for the whole world.
Exactly.
And then in 1961, bam, the Soviets dropped this bombshell.
Yuri Gagarin.
First human to orbit the Earth. I mean...
Shook the West.
Oh, completely.
It really cemented their image as the leaders in space exploration.
For sure. But here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
For some people, Gagarin's success just made the Soviet space program even more mysterious.
More questions than answers.
Exactly. Like, what if there were other cosmonauts? Cosmonauts that, didn't make it back.
Right.
Their stories erased from history, vanished.
That is the core of the lost cosmonauts theory, isn't it?
It is. And this is where things get really interesting. Because fueling this theory are all these alleged radio transmissions that were intercepted by, get this, amateur radio operators.
Really?
Yeah. Radio hams, they called them.
Huh. I haven't heard that term.
Yeah, they were all over the world and just obsessed with listening to radio waves.
Oh,
And during those early days of space exploration, well, they picked up some pretty weird signals.
weird how?
Faint, staticky. A lot of people thought they were distress calls from Soviet spacecraft.
Cosmonauts in trouble?
Yeah, potentially.
Hey.
Like, imagine listening to those recordings,
Oh,
knowing that you might be hearing the last words of a lost cosmonaut.
Someone whose sacrifice was never even acknowledged.
Chilling, right?
It's certainly a powerful image.
One of the most famous examples, I think, is this alleged recording of a female cosmonaut.
I think I've heard of this.
Her voice just getting weaker and weaker as her spacecraft drifts further and further from Earth. Yeah. I mean, that recording has been analyzed, debated. Some people are convinced it's proof of a hidden Soviet tragedy. It's like something out of a movie.
It does sound pretty dramatic.
Right.
Why?
But the mystery of it, you can't deny that it's intriguing.
Absolutely. And, the Soviets never released any official records about these alleged missions.
Of course not.
Which just added more fuel to the fire.
Mystery on top of mystery.
It's a perfect recipe for a good conspiracy theory. But if those recordings are real, why wouldn't they just acknowledge them? Like, were they really trying to just erase these cosmonauts from history?
That's the million-dollar question. And that's what we're going to dig into in the next part of this deep dive. We're going to look at the motivations, the reasons why people believe so strongly in the lost cosmonauts, and whether those transmissions really hold up under scrutiny.
I'm ready to keep digging.
So we've got the Cold War, the space race, all this secrecy surrounding the Soviet space program, and these mysterious radio signals.
It's a great story.
It is. But like with any good mystery, we have to look at the evidence, right?
Absolutely. And when you start digging into the evidence for the lost cosmonauts theory,
Yeah.
it kind of falls apart.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of those supposed radio transmissions have been debunked over the years.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah. Atmospheric interference, satellite signals that were misidentified. Some were even just hoaxes.
Wait, so you're saying some of these recordings were fake? On purpose?
Yeah, it's a little disappointing, but also kind of fascinating, Like, what would make someone do that?
I know.
Well, I guess it depends, right? Some might have been pranks, some maybe trying to make the Soviets look bad, others just wanted attention.
Oh, yeah. During the Cold War, propaganda was everywhere.
It was a whole different world of information warfare.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about the recordings that weren't hoaxes? Are there any that could still be evidence?
Even the ones that haven't been completely debunked, they're still pretty vague.
Like how?
The quality is usually terrible.
Oh, right.
You can barely even tell what they are, sometimes if they're even voices at all.
I guess that makes sense. Back then, the technology wasn't as good.
Right, radio waves can get all distorted and jumbled up, especially back then.
So basically what some people thought were these desperate messages from lost cosmonauts.
Could have just been space noise.
Random static that just happened to sound like voices.
Exactly. And remember, this was the Cold War. People were on edge.
Stressed out?
They were primed to hear what they wanted to hear, even if it wasn't actually there.
It's like our brains, they love to find patterns, even when there aren't any.
They want to make sense of things, even chaos.
Right. Okay, but even if we assume some of these recordings were real Soviet transmissions, doesn't mean they were from cosmonauts.
Right. That's another good point. The Soviets were launching tons of unmanned missions back then.
Oh, true.
So what someone thought was a cosmonaut could just be data from one of those unmanned flights.
Or like a satellite.
Exactly.
It feels like the more we look into this, the less likely it seems.
It's a slippery slope with conspiracy theories, Easy to get carried away.
So then why is this theory still so popular? I mean, experts have debunked it, but people still believe.
It's a good question. I think it's because it taps into a few things that we as humans were just drawn to.
Like what?
The unknown, the idea that there are secrets out there, hidden truths.
Oh, yeah. It's like we can't resist a good conspiracy theory.
It's a classic narrative, right? The official story versus the hidden truth. And the hidden truth is always more exciting.
It's that what-if factor.
Exactly. What if there's more to the story? What if these cosmonauts really existed?
It's tempting to think about.
Very tempting. Plus, I think people are fascinated by space, the dangers of it.
It's a scary place.
It is. And early spaceflight, it was incredibly risky.
So even if the lost cosmonaut story isn't true, the idea of risk and sacrifice in space, it still resonates.
It does. It's a universal theme. And then there's also that element of the underdog,
The unsung heroes.
These brave cosmonauts who gave their lives, but nobody knows their names. Their stories are erased.
It's like we want to believe in the lost cosmonauts so we can right or wrong, give them the recognition they deserve.
It's a very human impulse, I think. And, even though the evidence for lost cosmonauts isn't there, we should still remember the real risks and sacrifices made during the early space race.
Totally. On both sides.
Yes, absolutely. Whether it's Yuri Gagarin, Alan Shepard, John Glenn, they all faced incredible danger.
Their stories need to be told.
Yes. And remembered, regardless of what conspiracy theories are out there.
And their legacy is alive today.
Absolutely. We wouldn't be exploring space like we are now without them.
It's amazing to think how far we've come since then.
From those first pentative steps into orbit,
To rovers on Mars, probes going beyond our solar system, and the International Space Station.
it's a testament to human ingenuity.
And our desire to explore.
Absolutely. But as we keep pushing further, we have to remember the lessons of the past.
Like from this deep dive, the biggest one for me is critical thinking.
Oh, that's huge.
It's so easy to get caught up in a good story, especially when it's got mystery and intrigue.
It's hard to resist.
But we have to look at the evidence, consider all sides, be skeptical.
That's so important now more than ever.
Right. Information spreads so fast these days, and so does misinformation.
It's like a fire hose of data. Hard to know what to trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to be informed, be critical, not just believe everything we see.
We have to think for ourselves.
And that brings us back to the lost cosmonauts.
Full circle.
Even if it's not real, it shows how powerful misinformation can be, how it preys on our emotions, our desire for easy answers.
Right, and it shows how important transparency is, especially in government and science.
The secrecy of the Soviets, that's probably what led to all these conspiracy theories in the first place.
People were trying to fill in the gaps.
Like that saying, sunlight is the best disinfectant.
I like that.
More transparency, less chance for misinformation to take root.
It's simple, but powerful. Now, this specific theory might be debunked, but it does leave us with one question. If the Soviets really did hide parts of their space program,
Which they probably did.
what else is out there waiting to be discovered?
Ooh, good question.
As archives open up, who knows what secrets we'll find?
That's what makes history so fascinating.
It's always evolving, always changing.
So much to learn. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the lost cosmonauts.
Another mystery explored.
It was a wild ride.
Always a pleasure diving into these topics.
And we hope you enjoyed it too, listeners. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Until then, keep those minds curious.
From those first baby steps into orbit to rovers on Mars,
It's mind-blowing.
I know. Probes going way beyond our solar system, the International Space Station.
It really shows you what we can achieve,
Absolutely. But it's like you said, as we keep pushing further, got to remember those lessons from the past.
Absolutely.
And for me, this whole deep dive into the lost cosmonauts
Yeah.
really highlights the importance of critical thinking.
Oh, 100%.
It's easy to get swept up in a good story.
Especially one like this, with all the mystery and intrigue.
Right. But we can't just take things at face value.
We gotta look at the evidence, think for ourselves, be a little skeptical.
Especially these days, right? Information overload.
It's everywhere.
So much misinformation flying around.
It's hard to filter it all.
Exactly. We can't just passively absorb everything we see.
Right, we gotta be active, question things, look for reliable sources.
Be informed consumers of information.
Well said.
And that kind of brings us back to the lost cosmonauts.
Full circle.
Even if it's not true, it shows how easily we can fall for misinformation.
It preys on our emotions.
Our desire for a simple explanation.
We want answers. We want to make sense of things.
And it makes you think, if the Soviets were so secretive,
Which they were.
maybe that's part of why this whole theory took on.
People were trying to fill in the blanks, connect the dots.
It's like no transparency, so you get all this speculation.
Exactly. Transparency, that's key.
Open communication.
Especially when it comes to government stuff, scientific research.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant,
Yeah.
right?
Love that saying.
So true. Okay, so we've pretty much debunked this theory.
I think it's safe to say.
But does make you wonder, if the Soviets were hiding things,
Which they probably were.
what else is still out there?
What other secrets are waiting to be uncovered?
Archives are opening up all the time. Who knows what we'll find?
The history of space exploration, it's a never-ending story.
Always something new to discover.
Hmm.
And that's what makes it so fascinating.
It's the pursuit of knowledge, the desire to understand our place in the universe.
And the courage of those who came before us, pushing the boundaries, taking risks.
They pave the way for everything we're doing now.
Absolutely. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the lost cosmonauts.
Another mystery explored.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, listeners. We hope you enjoyed it.
Keep those minds curious.
And until next time, keep looking up at the stars.